All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, everyone who's here in person. I wish I could show you, but we've got I'm not even sure how many, but probably 20-ish people maybe in here today. And thanks everybody for joining us online. My name is Dominic Esposito, and I'm the current president of NISA, New England Sculpture Association. And I'm happy to be here today for what is going to be our 76th, I believe, annual meeting. So let's get started. I'm just going to ask everybody to mute themselves, and the meeting's going to be recorded, so you can see it later on if anybody really needs to. But also, we can try and hold the questions until after, towards the end. So maybe you can write them down if you have questions. And we're also going to open it up to Q&A and kind of open discussion at the end, which I always look forward to, because that's the only way we really kind of hear from our members in terms of kind of wants, needs, and direction that we should have. So let's get started. Let me just, let's see. Okay. So let's start off with, and I'm going to try to get through this slide. We have these slides relatively quickly. We have a lot of speakers here, but I want to make sure that the information is sent out and everyone's able to sort of see what's going on at NISA. So this is basically the elected board from 23-24, including myself, Kamal, Ahmed, who's here as well as a VP, Treasurer Alana Krepchin, Secretary Tranview Young, and then our new community art liaison, which is Lynn Simmons, here as well. The appointed directors, and these are directors that are nominated by the board, include the new exhibitions chair. You'll have a chance to meet her as well, Elisa Vanelli, our social media chair, which is Cassie Doyan, and then this new board position, which we'll talk a little bit about, which is our Connecticut liaison, which is V. Goldman, as well as becoming our new membership chair, V. Goldman. So he's wearing many hats here at NISA. So I'm going to address exhibitions, which is always an important topic here. The state art liaison, namely Connecticut, and then community outreach, our new website initiative, Sculpt Slams and workshops, which everyone's familiar with, and then our new consulting activity that we have on with Third Avenue in Burlington. And finally finish off with, talk a little about our financials as well. We had a little bit of change in the board during 2024, kind of really not anticipated. So we have a new treasurer, Mary Bouchard, who had been our treasurer for, I want to say, close to 5 years, and did a wonderful job and just amazing. And she's still behind the scenes kind of working with Alana, our new treasurer, who's really stepped up. And so that took a while for us to sort of transfer all of that behind the scenes work, whether it's bank accounts and spreadsheets and that knowledge, make sure it's all correct. And you'll have a chance to see Alana, and she'll be presenting the financials later on. Our new membership chair, which is V, as well. He's done a fantastic job, and you'll be able to meet him. And we had to fill that position kind of early 2024. Our new secretary, which unfortunately had to step down because of personal issues. So we really haven't had a formal secretary for the last 4 or 5 months. And then our new position that existed, that we had created back in, I think, 2021 or 22, our community arts liaison, was also filled this year by Lynn Simmons, and you'll hear more from her as well. And that's actually an exciting position, because we've finally gotten back on track to working with communities. So these are the members of our A&I committee. I'm sorry if I've left anybody out. It's sort of been, we meet as an A&I committee every 45 days or so. The board meets once a month. So, and there's been a lot of effort that's happened also at the A&I level. And A&I, again, stands for Advisory and Initiatives Committee. So, and then we have our newly formed social media team, which we formalized and we created a board position for that, and that's held by Cassie Doyon, and she's done a phenomenal job. And I'll get more into that later on in the presentation. So for exhibitions in 2024, and Elisa's going to get into more detail, but I just want to give you, a superficial overview. We've done 7 indoor, which 2024 was just a phenomenal year, and a lot of the groundwork for this was laid out by Elisa Adams, and so she's here as well. And the way that she was our former exhibitions chair, and these things take a long time in the queue to really happen. The conversations sometimes start 4 or 5 years in advance before we actually get to formalize them and present them to and actually become an exhibition. So thank you, Elisa Adams, for all the work. And we have the ongoing one online exhibition, which is the Equinox Show, which we're going to bring back this March as well. And then we had 6 outdoor exhibitions, which has been great. And then we have a new exhibitions chair, which I mentioned, Elisa Benelli. Before we move on, I just want to, a lot of work goes into putting together these exhibitions, and I just want to kind of bring up that in the last, let's say, 6 or 7 months, some of the exhibitions by our artists haven't been as, let's say, professional. So it's what happens at your relationship with whoever it is, the venue, is really a reflection on NISA. And so I really kind of stress this, and there's, for the overall, I think 99% of the artists that are dealing with the venues have done a phenomenal job, but it's always been 1 or 2 or 3 that that haven't. And so sometimes that's a poor reflection, given all the work that goes in, that sometimes we are not able to return because of those instances. So, now that we have everybody here, it's really, what I'm really trying to say is that, please, whatever the interaction that you have with the venues or the curator or whoever it is, it's really a reflection on NISA. And sometimes it puts in damage in our relationship with those venues and the ability to come back and do it again. So anyways, that's all I'll say about that. And these are some of the ones that, let me just get rid of this other screen, keeps popping up. Community art curatorial services. We did Burlington, again, Winchester, and these are really at the city level. But the one that, that's been, pretty exciting for us, and this is our 3rd sculpture going in. In fact, our 2nd one, the artist is here, Thomas Berger. And thank you for that. This huge whale that went in place, and it was a commissioned work. And it really is a new business line for us in terms of both, bringing opportunity to our artists, but also making sure that those opportunities make money for our membership, right? And so we've arranged this agreement where we're kind of like a consultant. We're not a gallery. Where we kind of take a consulting fee, and it works out for everybody. We've worked, very closely with Norblum to put this together. And if you haven't had the chance, really kind of go up there and visit and see some of the sculptures that are out there. We have 3 in place now. Oh, sorry, this will be the 3rd one going in. And then the call for June of 2025, it should be going out soon, within the next, November 15th, it goes out. So be on the lookout for that. And, it's as much as $20,000 for a commission. So it's a pretty respectable sum. Okay, so other initiatives that we took on in 24 is our new website design, and I'll get into this a little bit more. But if you do want to contribute anything to your own artist page, please send a message to Pat, the arts director at nesculptors.com. Another important thing that we really spent a lot of time on is social media, and making sure, if you've got shows that are happening or exhibitions, send them a message to social at Any Sculptors. Cassie and a lot of people have been doing this, and so we're really getting accustomed to this. We've grown social media from a few hundred followers to up to almost 1,400. and it really is a great way to keep up with what's going on in the community, shows that we have going on, also annual meetings, things that our members are doing. So really take advantage of it. And we've spent a lot of time and energy. And we do have a paid person. This is our second paid position that we have on a super part-time basis, basically about 4 to 5 hours a week, that works with Cassie to make sure that, we're gaining as much as we can from Instagram and Facebook. So I'm going to hand it over briefly to Pat. And I know a lot of you know her, but we also have a lot of new members. So it's always helpful to sort of introduce people that I think are really important to the organization, but also really become our face and how we as artists interact with NISA. So let me just hand it over to Pat real quickly.
I think this is just an opportunity for you to see my face because I think most of you have seen my name. And I'm really grateful for the time that I've been able to spend with NISA. I've had a lot of fun. And I am the person that's behind all of the members only applications. Those are all through the website, and I handle all of that. I do a lot of the communication with the venues and the curators.
Can you speak into the microphone? I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Sorry, I also, yeah. So, and I do the monthly newsletters, all of the communication behind the scenes. Congratulations, you've been accepted to the show. That's all from me, and I'm very happy to do it. It's really nice to see some people that I know and get to know a few other folks. So, thanks.
Thanks, Pat. She really is. I think she really is the kind of the glue that kind of holds everything together. So I can't stress that enough. Thank you, Pat. So I'll just move on to workshops and what's happened with the workshops. We've had four workshops in 2024 with Michael Alfano. Did a fantastic workshop on we're kind of recapping what we did with the lecture series that was in last year, which was a great hit, and also kind of a way for us to sort of think about how to market our work, not just make it. So and Justin, who you'll hear more from at a workshop down in Connecticut, and he's actually slated to be our new president. So I'm getting ahead of myself, but he's here with us today. Natasha Dicariva did one up in New Hampshire on her porcelain work, and then Beta Asbridge just recently, who's actually going to be our new VP, did a workshop November 4th, so very recently, out near Worcester. So as you can see, we don't have anything slated for 2025, and this is a great opportunity to kind of raise awareness about the workshops. They're fantastic opportunities to show off your work, but also to help mentor and teach people, how you go about your own artwork and that skill set. So it's a great way also for us to sort of come together as a community and learn from each other. And so, I'm really kind of looking for people to sign up for workshops this year. There is a small stipend that we pay. It's not much, but, and then sometimes we can try and figure out if we could provide lunch or not. It really is a way for us to sort of come together as a community. So I really hope that some of you guys out there, especially people online, can sign up. And if you want to sign up, it's really easy. You just send an email either to myself as president, or president at Any Sculptors, or arts director at Any Sculptors, or really anybody on the board. And all those emails are listed online.
I did write to somebody that I would do a workshop on portraiture, on making a small clay portrait bust. Somebody they know bringing a picture, and they complete the whole thing, and I would fire it in my kiln.
Yeah, that would be great. We got a question from the that someone wants to sign up for a workshop. So thank you. Yeah, we can follow up and make sure that happens for 2025. And no, that's easily done. We're looking for more volunteers, so thank you. Field trips, we had this was sort of a side project for us that was also kind of around the sense of building community and trying to get people in at NISA, members at NISA, to really kind of get to know each other and find out what's going on around us. And It is something that I sort of will probably be taken on because I'll remain as a director on the board. So, we had one with Artisan Asylum where, Kamal, who's our VP, was nice enough. And that was a great, couple hours where we got to visit Artisan Asylum, kind of go behind the scenes, explain everything, see what everything is happening there. And, we had a really good turnout for that field trip. We've thought about other ones, Fullercraft, which is, it's much more local. We just need to kind of finalize these things. And then, potentially, why not do kind of something where it's an overnight trip to Storm King. And if there's enough of us, they'll give us kind of curatorial services and they'll walk us around and teach us about the arts and so about the sculptors that are in place there. And it's just, if anybody's ever been there, it's just a fantastic 500-acre venue of incredible art. So there's others out there. And so this is an area I think that as a group we can work towards and really kind of do these field trips together and take advantage of our size and who we are. The website initiative, this is something we started early summer. And the idea here is, sorry, my Boston accent came through, is to really kind of keep what's existing, because the functionality of the website is something we don't want to get rid of because it's just taking a long time for people to learn that. But it's just really kind of how we portray that information. So it's the homepage, make it more just more engaging, more interactive, where people can see quickly what's going on at NISA next week, or what's going on with a show coming up, and also this whole calendar section. We really want to redo that, where it's much more intuitive. Maybe the typeset have a lot more photos of showcasing the work of some of our artists on a rotating basis. And so we've this early summer we hired Aurora Lee as a consultant to kind of work behind the scenes and do a lot of this. It's been a very slow start, to be completely honest. It's been very slow because she's had some medical issues as well. And so, we've had to take we're probably about 45 days to 2 months behind schedule where we should have been. I did finally, get confirmation that we are going to start that project back up again. And we should start seeing, the first kind of fruits of that over the next couple of weeks. And so bear with us. It is something that, you will see, hopefully, probably not before year end, but sometime in the spring, a completely new website, and it'll be something to kind of look forward to. The membership survey, I'm going to hand it over to Zvi. We're going to see if we can connect him so he can give you kind of some feedback on this. The membership survey is really important, and I can't stress it enough, because it really is a way for us to sort of take the pulse of the members and figure out, which direction we want to head in. I mean, I always see ourselves on the board and in our position really as custodians of what you want, right? And we're not here for our own agenda. We're here because of the agenda of the membership as a whole. And this is the only way that we really kind of see that in numbers. There's discussions like this that happen all the time, which is great, but for us to see it in numbers is really important. So I'm gonna hand it over to Zvi, and hopefully so bear with us while we kind of get him unmuted and able to discuss. And Zvi, I will move the slides for you. Okay.
Thank you, Dominic. Hello, everybody, and thanks for coming to the annual meeting. It's so gratifying to see so many of your faces and names on the screen here. I reside in Trumbull, Connecticut, so it's again good to see everybody here. As Dominic mentioned, it's very important for us to get the feedback from our members as to what they think, what their perception of the value that we provide, and guide us as to changes that needed to be taken or something else that they would wish and we don't provide. So this year's survey is, I think, the 4th year in a row that we do that. So we try to do 2 things to the survey: to maintain some tracking over some specific question that we want to see how the response changes over time. And every year we get 1 or 2 or 3 questions over new topics that we wish to explore. So we have a combination of both of them this year. The survey this year was very successful. We got a response rate of about 51% over our sculptors, which is great. Last year, for reference, I'll try to reference this year result to last year, so to get you a sense of changes and maybe some continuation of the same trend that we have seen over time. Last year, the response rate was 47%. This year, it was 51%. And this is great because it allows us to get a good sense of what the community really wants with a high significance level. It's not 3 to 5% response rate, but over 50% response rate, which is great. So thank you. Couple of questions. You can switch forward. Thank you. Some of the demographic aspects of our community, our association. For example, if you look at how many years have you been a members, it's about third, and third. We have a wide range of seniority in our association. As to the age group, we are top heavy. About 2/3 of our members, 64% to be precise, are 65 years and older, and only 11% are at the lower end of 20 to 44 years old. In reference to last year, there's an uptake of about 11% on the 65 plus of this year versus last year. Why do I mention that? Because you're going to see some of the trends in the following questions that are directly attributed to the change of our demographics as well. We are still Massachusetts-based organization, although our footprint is the entire Northeast. Last year, now it's 63% from Massachusetts. Last year, it was 61%, and last year and this year, Connecticut contribution was 11%, which is the second state, largest state in our footprint. Where are your sculpture primarily exhibited? This is a very important question because some of us are indoors, some of us are outdoors, and some of us are both indoors and outdoors. If you look at the sum of the both indoors and outdoors and indoors and sum it up, you get 88%, which means that if we do an indoor show, it will satisfy 88% of our community. If we do an outdoor show, it will satisfy 50% of our membership. So this guides us as to what kind of opportunities we should look forward and what's going to be the bias for indoors versus outdoors. This is about the same numbers as we've seen last year, with more emphasis this year on indoors versus last year. The final demographic question, which I want to talk about, is to how many juried showed have you applied in the past 2 years? And you see that it's really wonderful result because on 91% of us have applied to shows over the past 2 years, only 9% have not applied to any show. In reference to last year, if I look quickly at the numbers, last year 16% have not applied to any show, and this year only 9%. So we are finding good enough shows to engage more and more of our members, which is great. Next slide, please. I'll go over a couple of slides, and I'll go over just the top results of the slides. Having a response rate of 51% allow us to dig deeper in any of the questions to find out where the core response to those trends comes from, but I'm not going to do it now. If anybody's interested in more results, I'll be happy to share them with you after the meeting. So the question is, one of the question was, what outcome do you want from your artwork? And this is really no surprise. Tier 1, by the way, if you sum up the percentages, it's more than 100%, since the question was formulated as, I'll mention the top 3 of those. 96% of us wants to see or expect more visibility to public and art lover, and 90% would like to see more recognition by art critics and collectors. So this is an uptake from last year. Last year, the results were slightly lower by 10%. So this year, the emphasis is really even more on the outcome of visibility and recognition, which is not a surprise, but interesting to know. Next, please. To the question, what are the most important services NISA can offer to you? This is a direct input or feedback that we seek to get from you, as Dominic mentioned before. We want to make sure that what we do actually resonate with what you need. Otherwise, why do that? So tier one of the responses was as last year, jury show. Give us opportunity for jury show opportunities. And this is very important because as an association of over 200 members, we have more clout against venues, prestigious venues, to get in and offer shows with sites that members themselves individually cannot have access to. So this is really our strength. So 93% affirm that this is what they expect us to provide, jury show opportunity. 75% opted for social interaction with peers. And the next tier was community engagement and professional growth education. Very much the same as last year, no big surprise. Pay attention to the column on the right, others. You have to provide that others to make sure that your selection of choices cover most of the universe of choices available to members to select from. And in this case, I'm comfortable that we cover 80% of the choices that people would make anyhow and guessed it right. Next, please. The next question is, what will motivate you to apply more for NISA-sponsored shows? Tier one in the response here was collaborating with more prestigious venues, as I mentioned before. Tier two of the response, tier two of the priority were increased prizes and offer a longer duration show. This is exactly the same response that we've received last year, with slightly higher percentage this year versus last year. The column of others is less than 20%, so I'm comfortable that we kind of touched on all the major important options here to respond to. Next, please. Now here we come to two questions that were new this survey and this year. As I mentioned before, we do want to explore new opportunities every year versus tracking ongoing opportunities and ongoing trends over time. So this has to do with NISA engaging with member-led communities. So I'll cover the results, and I'm sure that Lynn will elaborate more about the implication of the results and what it means to us. The specific question here was, should NISA sponsor member-led community art opportunities? So if you just look at the numbers, 71% were not sure either way. 16% said yes, and they are committed to lead one opportunity like that. And 30% was absolutely not. So the two ways to look at the results, the half empty glass and the full empty glass. When we have it, you can say only 16% opted to say yes and volunteer their time to do that. At the same time, as an organization, we're not going to have too much resource and availability to do many of those opportunities, and we just need solid few people who are willing to volunteer and conduct those kind of activities. And again, Lynn will elaborate more about those 16% that say that yes, they would like to see that and willing to lead one of those opportunities. Next, please. Further to qualify the previous question, the question is here, in what capacity could NISA members promote community engagement throughout their art. Two of the top three are things that we do now today, workshops and demonstrations. And the second one in priority, in preference, receiving 59% of vote of the members was the collaborative public art projects, which something that, again, Lynn probably will elaborate more of that. Interesting to see the whole the column of others, which was minimal. So these are the main options indeed that we should consider. Next, please. That's it. I'll talk a little bit about my second role as Connecticut liaison. This is something that we have established a year ago with an effort to increase our footprint in Connecticut and provide opportunities to 11% of our membership residing in Connecticut. So the results so far are fruitful. We managed to secure a coming show with the Mattatuck Museum in Waterbury, Connecticut, which will take place, I believe, at the end of next year. And we're looking for other opportunities as well, and hopefully we'll be able to secure more for our Connecticut members and nearby state members as well. Next, please. So thank you, and if there are any questions, we'll address them at the end.
Thank you, Zvi. Thanks for your time. I'm just going to see if I can hear. Okay, so I'm going to take a minute to introduce Lynn Simmons, and I do have her bio, which I'll read together with once we have our vote later on in the presentation. But let me just introduce Lynn real quickly, and she can say a few words about the positions that she's taken on at NISA.
Thank you, Dominic. Hello, everyone. As Dominic said, I'm Lynn Simmons, the Community Arts Liaison. Really committed to focusing on bringing sculpture and sculptors to communities. That is something that I'm very passionate about. One of the things that Zvi was talking about in terms of the membership survey is what we did in terms of the people that responded. So I think there were about 7 people, 10 people, including 3 board members, or 2 board members. But those that aren't board members, I've been in touch with you, and I've heard from 2 of you. And what we're going to do is come up with a way to match you with one of our leading projects that's aren't quite settled yet, but that's in the future, and it is coming. So one of those is a connection with Tower Hill in West Boylston, and will be solidified probably the beginning of the year, February to March. So things are ongoing, and a couple things in the works. So I'll keep everyone posted. That's really about it. It's great to see people here and all of you online, although I can't really see you. I know you're there. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lynn. And so next I'm going to pass it off to Alana Krepshin, who is our new treasurer. And thank you, Alana, for kind of coming into that role. It's always hard. I mean, there's a lot of roles on the board where they're easier to step into given our art background, right? To find somebody who wants to be the treasurer as an artist is probably not so easy, right? And so it took us a little bit of time to fill this role, and I'm glad to say that Alana has really kind of taken it on and done a fantastic job working with Mary to make sure it's a flawless transition. And so thank you, Alana, for taking that on and doing it. Thank you.
All right, good morning, everyone. As mentioned, I am Alana Krepshin and I am the treasurer. Thanks for that introduction. I am definitely not an accountant by background, so it's been really helpful to have Mary, who was an accountant, help me along, especially since a lot of the things are already set up in a very accountant-like way, which has been great, but also meant I needed a lot of training along the way. So with that, we have a summary here, and just as an FYI, the way this is usually done is that the 2023 numbers are actual, what we took in and spent last year. The ones for 2024 are estimated. Since we're only in November, I have taken it and extrapolated what I believe will happen through the end of the year. So that's just that caveat. You'll notice a big difference in the revenue expenses from last year to this year, and that is entirely about the big gala that we had last year. So this year is much more normal. If you saw numbers from 2022, they would be fairly in line with that. So yeah, it's our finances are in good shape. These are the estimates. I'll go to the next slide to show you some more details. As mentioned, we'll take questions at the end, and I'm happy to answer any questions about any of these numbers. Again, these are estimates. These are the primary buckets from where we get our income, member dues, from exhibits. Again, you see that big bucket from the gala that happened last year that we do not have this year. These are expenses, again, some of the buckets, staff costs, which includes Pat and our social media consultant. The contract services you see there are the new website design. Again, you see the lecture series and the gala, which we did not have this year. Otherwise, fairly usual expenses. And this is our investment account, which is healthy and doing well. Again, these are estimates for what it will be before the end of the year. And I think that is the end of my presentation. So thank you.
Thanks, Alana. So just one more second, I'm gonna unpin myself and pin Zvi so we can talk about. Okay, you should be on, Zvi.
Okay, thank you again. I'll talk about our membership a little bit. The membership committee is tasked to admit applicants to NISA, that they will provide a juried-in entrance to NISA. And we have been growing more than 10% a year. This time last year, we had about 187 members. Out of them, 165 were sculptors member. This year, the total number of our members are 208, and out of them, 186 are sculptor members. We do have a nice representation of emerging sculptors, 16 this year. We have 4 friends and 2 honorary members this year. So all in all, it's gratifying to see that we are a growing institution by more than 10% a year, which is nice to have, and a testimonial to the value that we provide. If you know of any friend, colleague, or whatever that is a sculptor, please don't hesitate to refer them to me, and I'll take them through the review committee, and hopefully we'll continue to grow. So thank you.
Thanks, Zvi. So just a second. Almost there. No, thank you, Zvi. It's always hard to know what to do with these numbers. 208, it sounds like a lot. It actually is a lot. We are the largest of the sort of regional, if you will, associations. And for sculptors specifically, there are 2 larger kind of national ones. But if you look through the list, and we did a lot of, Kamal and I actually spent some time on this a few years ago looking at where we sit and who our competitors are. And well, we call them competitors, let's just say peers. The list drops off pretty quickly. In fact, Zvi's working closely with the Connecticut Sculptors Association as well to see if we can work with them on some other potentially new exhibitions. So it kind of ranks us as bottom line as a relatively the largest of the regional associations. So I think it's great, and the list and it drops off pretty considerably after us.
Okay. How does that 208 compare with the trend over the last 10 years?
The trend is like Zvi said, it's about 10% a year. I mean, obviously it was a lot slower. We sort of were stagnant. I think, people who have been here for a lot longer than I have know those numbers, but we were stagnant. My own, when I presented to the board our strategic initiative, which was 2.5 years ago, my goal was to get to 300 by the end of this year. And so we've sort of fallen short on that, but we still had, pretty good growth. So I'm not sure if that really answers your question, but roughly in the last 4 or 5 years, it's been roughly about 10% a year, and we were stagnant, I think, at 125 for a very long time. So a lot of these initiatives that we had taken on last year are starting to pay off, and so the social media is really a way for us to sort of reach a different audience. If you will, without a younger audience, which was also part of the survey from the year before, which we want to get younger membership. So this is something we've really been focused on, and especially how social media has really kind of helped us, and people are starting to discover who we are. We did some marketing as well around the gala that gave us a lot of name recognition as well. We were in Art New England and a few other magazines. So it's all coming together. It's never going to be something that pays off immediately. So I'm going to hand it off now to our new exhibitions chair, Elisa, who will be joining us online. So just give me a second to pin her and get her to talk about our exhibitions, which was pretty full slate for 2024. Where is Lisa? There she is. All right, go ahead, Elisa. You can take the floor. Thank you. And she's also, by way of introduction, it's a new role for her, and I mentioned this earlier in the presentation, but she did work side by side with Elisa Adams, I think, for over a year, and we've developed. Also work together to sort of streamline and make a lot of the work much more standardized in terms of how we respond to different venues, and she's done a great job of sort of coming into that role. So go ahead, Elisa.
Thank you, everyone. I'm grateful to be part of NISA. It's been a great platform of great opportunities for me and for many others. From the shows to the learning opportunities. I love the workshops that we organized. I also wanted to thank Elisa Adams for creating such a solid base for me to start working with. As you can see, we had a very, very full schedule for 2024. I was working with Elisa. She was training me. 2025 is not as full yet. 2024 was also an exceptional year. The other years compared to this were not as full. So probably 2025 will not be as full, but there will be more than what we can see right now. So my commitment is to keep what has been created and to create more opportunities for the future. I am already working to create new opportunities. I am in contact now with the Eustis Estates, creating opportunities with the trustees. I just contacted the Rockport Art Association, the Marblehead Art Association, and there are a couple more galleries in Newburyport that I'm in contact with. So hopefully there will be more venues and more opportunities to add to the 2025 exhibition schedule. I wish I could have been there with you guys, but next time I wasn't able to participate in person today. But thank you for listening and for this great opportunity.
Thanks, and thanks, Elisa. 1 second
Thank
while
you.
I'm getting better at this, but well, now I lost her. 1 second. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is. Sorry.
Do you want me to go more into detail of what there is? I think it's like
No, I think we're good. We can save some of that for Q&A, but yeah, I mean, the more exciting stuff is, you know, obviously the Mattituck Museum, which is great, and then
yes.
some of the other stuff will be will continue, but also and I also want to put this out to the membership. If you have a relationship with venues that you think you want to bring to our attention, please reach out to, you know, Elisa at exhibitions@anysculptors.org or myself or arts director or anybody really. You know, these things take, you know, sometimes 3 to 4 years to put together. So if we start now, then, you know, we'll have a better 26 and 27 as well. And that's how we've also come across a lot of these. Sometimes it's the membership kind of raising and taking leadership and introducing us to people that they know. I guess I want to hand it back to Alana. Do you want to? So Alana was our secretary for the bulk of 23, and then, but you know, I can without having her kind of come back up again, I can just go through this. She moved on to obviously be our treasurer and our secretary that was put in her place mid-year, was Tran, and she had to step out because of medical personal reasons. So these are basically the meetings that we had. We had recordings and minutes of 7 from the A&I committee. So far in 2024, 7 A&I, because those meetings are only every 45 days or so. And then we had 11 board meetings so far in 2024, including the annual meeting. And we still are in need of, and I'll talk a little bit about this later on, but we still are in need of a secretary. So I'll come back to that in a little bit. So recruiting volunteers, you know, over the last couple of years, I think we've had some difficulty in finding people to come in as volunteers, both at the A&I level, but also on the board. And, you know, we're going to talk about this later on as our open discussion, because it is, you know, it's kind of, you know, if you think about, you know, what we have something that it's for everyone's benefit, and we really need to figure out a way, and maybe with brainstorming at the end of the meeting, including those online, how do we get more people involved in NISA on a volunteer basis? You know, we've tried a lot. We've increased communication. We've, you know, written it into the president's letter. We've personally gone on the phone and called people, and sometimes that's fruitful, and sometimes it's not. And so, you know, we're still looking, and we'll talk about the positions that are open and how do we increase that. But, you know, these are some of the things that, you know, you could do as a member. You know, you can join the A&I committee, and that really is about, you know, working hand in hand with the board and its directives and making sure that they get executed, right? And working with the exhibitions chair, with Elisa, membership chair. You know, there's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes, and also nominating yourself for a workshop. We have one already during this meeting. You know, mentoring is something that, you know, Pete Spampanato he's been doing some of it. And so, but, you know, that's also a place that, you know, we offer, and if you want to be part of that or even mentor people, that's incredible. The Sculpt Slams are, we did 7 last year. We're also looking for people, art sales and marketing. That's more about, how do we get better as artists, community, really working with Lynn on the arts and community side. Website and social media, that's another position that, we need to fill, Cassie's role as well. And that's a really important position for us as well, because we've also taken it to the board now, so it's an actual board position. And financial development really around kind of grants and how we increase donations and donors. So, all our revenue base is not just from membership fees. We did a little bit of that with the gala, and that kind of paid off. It was, we sold tickets, but we also sold art, and that was great. We had some collectors there. But how do we increase that? And that's also, we do need specialty on the grant writing side. So going forward, I think for 2025, and where we see the board going, and I'm going to have our new elected president. Well, we haven't elected him yet, but he's going to say a few words about where we go from here. But these are some of the initiatives that are kind of in development, if you will, that are going to be continued by the board. Exhibitions, we're going to continue to be selective. That means have not just more exhibitions, but make sure that we've lived to the membership. So what they want is higher prestige venues, right? And so we're going to try and really work hard for that. And I think that stuff is paying off. The Matitech Museum and some of the other venues. Even this fall we had St. Botolph Club, and that was was a great venue. We had Piano Craft Gallery where we had a jury show. So we hear you. We're trying hard to really kind of be selective and go in and have at least 1 or 2 kind of more prestigious venues in place. Need more, I can't stress enough, workshop and Sculpt Slams, need more participation. Education, we started some of this a few years ago with the lecture series, which was, was the first time we'd sort of done that. But, maybe this talk about continuing a version of that. The new website, we spoke a little bit about that, membership growth and emerging artists. How do we increase diversity, so we're not just in the suburbs, but we're kind of more inner city. Member engagement and NISA, increase that. It's nice to see everybody at the annual meeting, but sometimes I see people when we're dropping off art, but it's really about member engagement. How do we get people to come to the openings of the show, making sure they're able to talk about their work, and we did some of that also. This year, we're going to continue that with artist talks, where where the artists are speaking about their work, and we pick 1 or 2 based on curators, what they want to see. Development, we're going to continue that. Hopefully, do more grant writing, and with the possibility of actually hiring a professional grant writer out there, because it's been hard to single out what exactly we can apply for, and the list is smaller than you think. And so how do we take advantage of that, and maybe hiring somebody in that capacity could be fruitful for us. A new board position, I put this up here, we never really got very far. We did come up with a description for it, a director of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and maybe that's something for next year's board to sort of take up if we've got the time and energy for it. And then we talked about grants, donors, and sponsorships already. So these are basically the initiatives that that are going to continue for next year, that were started back in 23. So let me just keep going, and before we get to the vote, and and this is all, again, how volunteering, coming to exhibits, it's really important to meet your fellow artists, meet the curator, and I think go to the openings, go to the closing ceremonies, go to the artist talks. Put your hand up if you want to speak about your art. We're willing to sort of have, even at shows, present at Sculpt Slam, become a mentor, keep your artist page on the website up to date, and the new website's going to be a lot more interactive, and hopefully it'll be easier for people to update that more routinely. Answer the surveys. Again, that's the only way that we hear sometimes what the wants and needs are, or just pick up the phone and call one of us. Really, refer potential venues, and we talked about this. It's really if you hear about something or you have a relationship, let us know. Refer new members. If you go to an artist talk or you go to a venue like, oh, by the way, have you heard of NISA? And that's a lot of the it really does work. It really does work. And I've gone to a lot of openings, and a lot of people, once they know about us, they look it up right away, and then they join. And it's it's $100, and you get a year. And what we're really trying to do is grow that, and so we're all benefiting from that. So if you go to shows, you go to openings, all over New England, word of mouth really does work. Donate. We have the donate button. So, the membership fees are great, but you can see it doesn't really cover a lot. It's kind of break even. If we don't do sort of these side projects like the gala, like Nordblom, things like that, where we're, we're actually growing NISA financially. I think we're in strong footing, but it does help to donate. And if people who want to donate to the arts, reach out to them and say, hey, I think this person could be a good candidate, and we can write them a letter, or you can try and solicit funds for us. Send stories to social media. Again, the social media there is for everyone to use, right? So, and the reach is there. So if you want to, have people go to your shows outside of NISA, they don't have to be within NISA, or you have a solo show or whatever it is. Send that in, and we'll repost it. And it's usually pretty flawless, and you get a lot of eyes on it as well. So here's the moment of our vote, and before we start, I just want to say that the last just from my standpoint, the reason why I'm not continuing on as president, I've had a lot of kind of personal stuff that I've taken on, and I'm going to remain at the board level for at least 6 months minimum. I have to stay, but I'll stay on for longer. And just to ensure that the transition is done correctly, but it has no reflection on NISA or my commitment to it. It's just I've got a lot of other stuff going on besides my own career and artwork, and I think it's also good to change what's happening. Every few years, I think you get fresh blood, you get fresh energy into it, and I think it's a good thing. To keep that so that we're not stagnant organization, we continue to grow, and other people's visions can be seen. So I'll be stepping down as officially as president, and I'll continue as director at large, and probably work on whether it's the field trips. If I have to, I'll step into the secretary role. I think we might have a secretary then. Okay. Great. Well, we can't. We'll have to write her name in for the election, but we'll voice it out. Kamal will also be stepping down as vice president from currently. Alana will stay on as treasurer. But I'm going to take a moment to sort of read the sort of bios of the three new candidates. So that's basically Justin Perlman, Beta Asbridge, you already know Alana, and then Lynn Simmons. So if you will, I'm going to just take a few minutes to read them in order of how they appear on the screen. So Justin is like for president. Again, when we vote on this, you're not voting individually for each candidate. You're voting for the slate. So that's the way we've written the bylaws. So Justin Perlman is a sculptor and a fine artist living in Bethlehem, Connecticut. The pursuit of various artistic processes has taken Justin on diverse roads, as exemplified in his work from his studies in anthropology at Hampshire College. He journeyed to focus on sculpture at Art Students League in New York under Lori Gillette and Gary Sussman. From there, he moved to Pietrasanta, Italy. It was pretty incredible, so that he may work with master sculptor and artisan Nathaniel Katz and Gino Lombardi. Seeking deeper knowledge in sculptural process, Justin returned to the USA as an apprentice and a master chaser at the Cooper Mill Bronze Works, where he trained in all facets of fine art and bronze casting. In 2004, Justin moved to Connecticut, where he continues to create works of art for exhibitions, as well as private and public commissions. Through all of his travel and study, he's maintained his belief taught to him by his father: whatever you do, do it, take care in it, and do it well. This belief and understanding guides his hand along with his heart. Justin is also teaching sculpture and bronze casting at the Silvermine Art Center in New Canaan, Connecticut. Thank you, Justin. And now I'll read Beta Asbridge, who will be our VP, Vice President. Beta is a multidisciplinary artist who works in a wide range of mediums. Beta was trained as an Asian brush painter when she moved on to teach that art form at the Worcester Art Museum. She has vast knowledge in painting, drawing, and photography, printmaking, Japanese weaving, sawari, I think it's, I don't know, sawari, mixed media, sculpture, installation, and basketry. Her work has been recognized in several New England art institutions, which gives her well-rounded knowledge of all stages of artistic production, from conception through to presentation. In 2011, Beta was awarded the Francis Kinnicott Travel and Study Award from Worcester Art Museum. So she traveled to England and studied mixed media. In 2021, she was awarded the Mass Cultural Traditional Arts Award in Arabic calligraphy and got trained in Arabic Diwani font. More recently, in 23, Beta was awarded the Individual Artist Grant from Mass Cultural, which she has utilized in learning traditional and modern fiber and wire basketry weaving. Thank you, Beta. Finally, I'll read Lynn Simmons, which you had the pleasure of meeting earlier as our new community arts liaison. Lynn is an artist and educator who has been keen interest in conceptual approaches and social issues. She's also loves to build things and holds a BFA in sculpture from the Maine College of Art and Design, as well as an MFA in visual art from Vermont College of Fine Arts. Her work has been featured at the Portland Museum of Art Biennial in Maine, the Institute of Contemporary Art in Portland, Maine, the Fitchburg Art Museum, Attleboro Arts Museum, and University of Massachusetts Medical School, and the Worcester Art Museum, to name a few. So you can see they're all slouches. Just kidding. I'm so proud that we've been able to sort of have volunteers of this caliber come in and really at the board level take on the reins. So and then we've got the appointed directors, which you don't need to vote for. These are nominated directors, which is our exhibitions chair, Elisa Vanelli. We are the secretary, back to our elected members. The secretary, looks like we will be able to fill that as well. Social media, I think Kamal, we have a lead on one or two candidates here, which would be great. And it's a role that, we've also been able to standardize, how things get posted, what's required. And so, thanks to the work of Cassie, I'm not sure if she's on, but, and Rebecca McGee Tuck previously to that, who really kind of started the whole thing. And then we kind of elevated it by hiring a social media professional to kind of help out, because it is very overwhelming. It can be. Then myself will remain on the board as well. And then the CT, the Connecticut Art Liaison, I think it's a role that Zvi's sort of doing in the background. I'm not sure how we handle it but for the most part, it's something that, he'll do, as well as become a membership chair, unless we have somebody else who kind of wants to step into that role, who's based in Connecticut, obviously. So I think, do we raise our hands? And so I did a motion to elect the board of directors for NISA, and I think everybody can. Let me just get the screen so we can see everybody. Do I need to unpin myself? 1 second, please.
Just stop the share.
Sorry, let me just. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, please, yeah, if you could just remain muted until after we open up for Q&A and a discussion, and we'll all have an opportunity to speak. But for now, if you can just raise your hand to vote in the elected board. I think I can see everybody, but some microphones are off. But I think, we got everybody in the audience here, which nobody can see online, but hopefully you believe us that everyone's voting yes. So the board is elected. Congratulations. I also, maybe let me just go back to the presentation, and then we're almost done. But I do want to give the mic maybe to Kamal real briefly, but I need to share. You guys can't see that, right? No, online, no. All right, view slideshow. All right. Yeah, I mean, I was going to give it just, I know we're not, it's kind of a little bit off track in our presentation, but I wanted to just hand it over to Kamal real quickly and just say, and just thank him also for the last couple of years and his commitment to bringing us, let's say we've got, a lot of things are now backed up. We have it all on Google Drive. We've got all our emails are synced. It's easier to set up meetings, all our documentation, so that as we pass things on to the next board, it is, there's a little bit of a hurdle rate to kind of learning some of the Google Drive and how that workspace works. But, it's all, the work of Kamal. So I don't know, do you want to come up real quick, Kamal?
All right. Hi, everyone. Just want to say thank you, and it was really my pleasure working for NISA for the last 2 years. As Dominic said, I'm have been so busy with other things, my artwork, my personal stuff, my work, my job, so really don't have time to now continue, but I really love the opportunity. I work for NISA. I did a lot. I think we have been doing a lot of things behind the scene, and it was I was really glad that I had the opportunity to co-connect Artisan Asylum, which I worked there with NISA members, and also Piano Craft Gallery. We had the opportunity to show a member's artwork over there. So we have done a lot of things behind the scene, especially in the communication, which my focus was making sure we have a good communication, with the Google Drive or calendar, whatever we could do, make sure we centralize all document, everything we have for next board or next a president come on board. So it's really, I think right now it's why we are stepping down as a VP and president, but I think everything is in the right direction, and we are happy with where the NISA is going anyway. So it's really great, and thank you again for everything. And it was my pleasure working with you all and with you as well. Thank you again.
I also want to spend a little bit of time so you can meet both Justin and Beta. So Justin has a slide for us set up, so I'm going to hand it over to him so we can meet him if you haven't already met him, and have him discuss. And thank you, Justin, for sort of taking on the role. We'll be there as a board to give you as much support as possible. And we're always, thanks again for the time and energy to move us forward.
Thank you. Hello. I can't stress my thanks enough to the board, because honestly, I wouldn't have joined if I hadn't seen such a thoroughly put together and organized system for continuing any and all initiatives. Honestly, the work they did, it looks like we can focus on initiatives and less of infrastructure, and that just can't be understated. So, round of applause for all you guys, because that was kind of amazing. And it was really the reason I agreed to do it, because I could see a path forward and not being mired down and really all the difficult stuff that you guys worked out. Basically, my goals is, like Dominic said, to serve you, serve us, serve myself as a member of NISA. I am a sculptor. That is the most important thing in my life. My task is essentially to see through the existing initiatives that were laid down by the previous year, make sure that all happens. I would like to explore creating a paid position for a grant writer. I wrote this before last week. Going forward, I don't know what we're facing in the next 4 years in terms of available grant money for the arts. That is something we do have to look into and see really what we are facing. But I am optimistic. I think people are really, going to focus on what is important to them. And I'm hoping to make NISA one of those things that is important to them as an arts organization. I definitely think part of that is looking for ways to engage more members in education and outreach. That's been the running theme throughout this presentation, is volunteerism. We're artists. Every one of us is the beneficiary of knowledge that was handed down to us from other artists from generation after generation. I think that is our obligation. I also think that it's how we have a future. Sculpture is a particularly difficult aspect. I mean, you all know that. And really the knowledge in sculpture is handed down individually and passed, from mentor to student. And I do think that is something we can benefit from, because many future grants, it seems like, are more and more asking, even exhibitions are asking for some educational component. So bear that in mind. That's a fact of just what we're looking at in terms of funding opportunities and exhibition opportunities, is that they are asking for some sort of communication and outreach and education as a component of any exhibition. So this is, in the interest of NISA. So if you can volunteer or have any thoughts on these issues, bring it. One of the things I've heard from a lot of people, and frankly, what made me willing to do this, was that I joined NISA last year, and the first show I did was The Open Sky. And the wonderful reception and warmth of the people there was just sent me home happy as could be. We are individual artists in our studios alone, and being part of NISA actually feels like a little bit of that weight is lifted. And we do enough alone. And NISA is a great organization to kind of take some of that burden and help each other. I would like to have more in-person events. I would like to see more of you more often, because it gives me peace and joy and the ability to get through my day. And so I would like to find ways to do that. And I definitely welcome any ideas in terms of that, how we can do that. I know we are spread out. We are New England. It's not easy to drive. Driving across Connecticut can be a torture session, trust me. But it's worth it. It was worth it to be here just to see you folks. I think one of the best aspects of being a community is our ability to help each other in our technical lives as sculptors. Just support during shows, support removing work, support installing works, just the knowledge that can be shared amongst us. We all working on these amazing materials and difficult mediums. I just think that's such a resource that the more we can do that. So I would like to create more of a forum to figure out ways to create a space to connect, share that information, anybody collaborate, both on individual initiatives and the NISA initiatives, but to be able to do that. And I'd also like to create a space, because the next few years, in terms of funding and just to see, in the spirit of what Zvi has been doing with the survey, I would like to hear more about what artists are experiencing in terms of their individual practices, where they're finding funding, where they're finding shows, what kind of things are happening out in the field, because we just don't know what the next 4 years is going to look like. And the more knowledge we have from you, the better. So, more people fill out the surveys, but also I'm hoping to put in another sort of online space that we can actually, in real time, talk about these things. So so my general belief is that NISA can be a force. I would like to see that logo everywhere I look in the arts world. I'd like to create a sense of gravity that pulls people to us so that we don't have to do all the legwork looking for organizations and institutions. I would like them to start calling us when they think of sculpture and art. I want us to be the first one on the list, and I'd like that list to be incredibly short, with NISA way up there, probably at the top. So that's my thinking right now. And as I get more thoughts, I will be sharing them. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. That was great. Great to hear, and for everybody to meet with, to see Justin in person. He does exist. So he made a long trip up from Connecticut. So anyways, we're incredibly thankful for his leadership going forward. So just got some closing remarks, that some upcoming shows and receptions that are coming up, and really hope to see everybody there. I'm going to hopefully be there myself, but the Cape Cod Art Museum closing reception is November 16th, and we have a glass blowing art demo happening at 1 p.m. So I know it's out there, and but the Cape is beautiful in the fall, so I would really encourage people to make a day or a weekend out of it. That's a Saturday. The Open Sky reception, again, this is an ongoing show, and this is how, actually first time I met Justin, because he won one of the awards, I think best outdoor work, and his work is absolutely incredible. Oh, it's the 5th, sorry. The opening reception is Sunday the 5th, not, I think the 6th is a Monday, right? Yeah, sorry. So yeah, it's Open Sky 4th annual is opening reception is January 5th at 3 p.m., not January 6th. Anyways, all the information's on our website. Then the Brush Gallery artist reception is December 14th at 2 p.m. So I hope to see everybody at all of these. I think that's it. I'm gonna motion to adjourn the meeting and close. So let me just unpin myself first. Pin and stop sharing. 1 second. Okay, we can see everybody. Oh, we got somebody else coming in. All right. Thank you, everybody. And so we're going to follow up. That's the formal presentation, but don't leave. We have an open discussion, and I want to kind of put forward. But let's close the meeting first. But please don't leave, because this is the only way we really kind of hear from everybody. So we have a few questions to kind of put out to the audience, both online and the people here. And I'm going to try and turn the camera so everybody who's online can actually see who's here in the crowd. And we promise there are people here. So thank you. Motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Okay, so that's the end of formally of our annual meeting. So let me see. Let me just give me a few minutes just to get the camera and people situated in the room. And I think everybody who's in the room this first row needs to get back, because the camera is right here. So I can, let's see. Yeah, if you don't mind moving the chairs to the one back, even further back. Yeah. What? We have a microphone, so yeah, I think. Yeah, I think kind of where Alana. Let me see if I can see Alana. So just give us a second, everybody online. Ooh. Yeah, so it's got to go. Yeah, the only one I see is Derek, so that's kind of I don't think there's another camera in here. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess we can maybe move the chairs. Yeah. Zoom out. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll give people time to move back, but and we do have a microphone here. 1 second.
Well, I know.
wants to be in charge of microphone. Just don't turn it on. Okay, we're getting there. All right, why don't I start? You know, we're happy to. First of all, I guess let's take questions about the annual meeting first, and then I think Alan wants to unmute. So let's, you know, maybe raise your hand if you're online, but we'll take questions about the annual meeting first, and then we'll move on to kind of open questions for discussion that we have. So let's get, if there's anybody out there who wants to.
So they can all unmute themselves if they want.
Yeah.
But to stay muted.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe stay muted if you're not speaking, and then if you want to speak, unmute yourself and just raise your hand so we know wants to speak. But I think Alan, did you have a question first about the annual meeting?
No, I was just waving hello.
Oh, okay. All right. Anybody in the room who had a question about the annual meeting first, and then we'll move on to more open discussion? No. Anybody?
Looks like Madeline.
Oh, Madeline. Okay. I see her on the.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Okay. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, congratulations to NISA members at the Sculpture at the Mount 2024. David Adelman, who's in front of me now on screen, Justin Perlman, who was a big deal and his piece was situated near the Mount home, Philip Marshall, Karen Stanley, Nick Swearer, who I think is a new member. If not, I'm going to punch him. And I just really enjoy being with the creme de la creme, and wherever I go, having a chance to promote to NISA and promote NISA to wherever I go. And thank you, Alyssa Vanelli, because I think Eustace and Crane are great opportunities for all of us, have been in the past. And thank you for picking up Connecticut. I mean, Doug Rice is one of our big components. Hello, Linda, who's shown his works at Frog Pond and has also had a lot of other NISA artists in her exhibit. They can't get along without us. That's my message to all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Madeline. Okay, any other questions about the annual meeting? And then we'll kind of move to some topics for open discussion. I think we're good. I don't see anybody in the crowd as well. So I've got 4 questions, kind of, one of us from topics from myself and the other 3 were from our board. Why don't we start with selfishly mine. So why don't we start with how do we get more volunteers, right? More engagement, not just at to apply to shows. I'm talking specifically kind of at the management level of NISA. How do we do that, right? And so, you know, and does it mean more paid positions? Does it mean outsourcing a lot more? Do we have to, you know, do we just keep it as it is and kind of scramble for people every year? So anyways, these are, you know, it's the reality of, you know, of a nonprofit organization is finding volunteers. And so that's, you know, leave that up for discussion. So, you know, if you're online, please raise your hand and we'll try to do it early, but you can see the bulk of the people here. You can't see the, you know, the backs of some of the others, but all right. How do we get volunteers to speak up? All right, Madeline, we'll get, go ahead, please.
Well, I think you can offer quote unquote honorary membership to anyone who's short on funds but has hours to give you in exchange for working with the board or working on special projects. They get their membership excused, and maybe that's all it takes. Don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion. Anybody else feel We've thought about that as well, but we haven't done it. So, but that's a great suggestion, and maybe that is a way to do it. Anybody else on how do we increase engagement from our membership?
You know, I saw in Justin's list about open studios. It never occurred to me, but that was from my year secondhand house. Secondhand. I wanted to suggest it, but I like the idea.
Is this working?
Yeah.
Is it on?
Okay.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me that we don't really do that, as an organization. And I was thinking, gosh, I would love to see, I mean, I know some of you have been in your studios a lot, but it would be great, maybe once a month, someone have an open studio, not with no purpose other than to get together, have a bunch of food, see what they do. I don't know, it seems like a good idea.
Yeah, and I think, so you're saying an open studio of having, it was kind of like a workshop, you're saying, or?
No, not a workshop, just like a visit, like you open your studio.
Yeah.
And you say it's, March 6th and everyone goes and everyone brings food, or you can bring food or not, you have food. We just look at your studio and spend 2 hours goofing around, talking about art. Doesn't have to be nothing formal.
Yes.
Just enjoy.
I think that's a great idea. I think it's very nice because it doesn't involve a lot of planning. It's a social get together and it's based on art. It's based on sculpture because we're all, I don't think any of this. What?
They do on the.
Oh, it's on. Oh, it is on? Oh, okay. All right, sorry about that. I think it's a very nice idea to have gatherings at people's studios. People always like to see artist studios, even other artists. And people bring, I don't know if they bring friends, if it would be too many, but I think it's a terrific idea.
Can you guys hear that online?
It can be very impromptu,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, we definitely.
Hi, Pete Bernard. Years ago, we did that very thing. Matter of fact, when we was at your house, I believe.
Pete, can you hold the microphone up to your?
And it worked pretty well. What we did was we brought a little portion, a little sculpture that we did up. Everybody did, and we talked about that piece and how we did it, and if anybody had any better suggestions on how to do that. So that's what we did, and it was it worked out pretty well, but it kind of petered out because that's how things happen. It just petered out after a while. We did have that in the past.
Hey, we have someone online, so Westy? No.
I'll say something. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
I know, I got a number of years ago, I remember we had the annual meeting at our house and we had a lovely gathering, and I have had a couple of lunches since then of just people getting together. And I do think, just as David had suggested, do a visit or just, having a few more social gatherings seem to really appeal to everyone. I think one of the great things was the closing reception at Valleycast, I think, and opening, where, there was a lot more focused chat amongst us artists together. And I think more of that it's a very positive thing. It creates more ideas and more cohesiveness but so anyway, maybe I'll have another lunch sometime or in the future, next year. But anyway, that's all. And congratulations, Justin, by the way. Sorry.
It was a great lunch. Yeah, it was like a couple of years ago we had that. That was great.
Yeah. Anyway, Congrats, Justin, by the way. I think you'll be a great president.
We have, I think is it Linda? I can't, sorry, I'm like.
Yeah, my name, I don't know a lot of you, it's Linda Hoffman. I was just thinking that if you're looking for volunteers, maybe you can put out some requests for like small projects rather than like you need to volunteer and suddenly leap in for a commitment like for the full year or for several years, or you're like taking on something huge, that if you can kind of bring people in for something smaller that they might just be able to do, it's like more local to them and a smaller commitment to begin with, I think might just help you find more people who actually enjoy doing certain things.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, the A&I committee is a little bit structured like that. A lot of people come and then there's kind of stuff that happens. So, but yeah, we can think about how do we communicate that to the membership in terms of this is what we need on a smaller scale. No, I get it. I mean, the time commitment to be a role on the board is, once a month we got to meet, and and it's I kind of call it a working board. We don't, no one's on there because of tenure, and it's an actual working board. Things get done, as you can see. So, but it is a commitment. Any other suggestions? I'm kind of writing all this stuff down so that we can. Westy.
Hi, one of the things I think is really wonderful is going to Open Studios. Last week I was at Moody Street in Waltham and our own Open Studio.
Sorry,
Humphrey Street the week before. So we have 5. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead. Sorry, now you're frozen again.
The positive is to move the party around to where people already are when they're already there. And I think it's a great idea to be able to post something within those content. No, it's me that's unstable, not my computer.
Okay.
I'm the one that's unstable. No,
Yeah,
I think go to where the artists are, go to where our colleagues are that haven't joined, and throw a small reception for the sculptors in that environment.
Yeah, no, I think
the
studio idea is definitely I think it's got a lot of merits, and we can try and make that happen without
as an example. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, and if you come up with any venues, please let us know. Like if you've got something that's in mind, let us know, please. Oh, Elisa, you're muted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I wanted to say, first I wanted to say hi to Pete Spampinato because I saw him in the crowd and I'm so happy that he's there. So, and then I wanted to say, I think it would be helpful to know what we need help with. And then I was thinking, like we were saying, for example, for the reception at the Maratach Museum, to have like a membership table set up to get new members, the same kind of idea, but for finding help and volunteers. So when we have open receptions or things like that, that's when we get in contact with people. If we already know exactly what we need help with, that's the kind of situation when we can kind of reach out, talk to people, and see if they will be willing to do something for NISA. So more awareness already, just to make sure that everyone knows what we need help with, and having, like they were saying, like different type of tasks. So going from the 2 years to the monthly commitment. So there is something for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's, between that and, what Linda was saying, it sort of comes to mind, maybe there's a place on the website for this where it's like smaller projects, we need help with this, and people can scroll through that, and or we can include it in our newsletter. which I hope everybody reads here.
So I just have another thought, and I don't know if it's ever been tried before, but some sort of college intern that does something in exchange for credits.
Yeah, I don't know that we haven't tried that in the last 2.5 years, but has anybody else had experience with that at NISA?
Might be worth investigating.
Yeah, no, that's a great, go ahead, Jared.
I think we thought about that in the past, but I retired from Framingham State about 4 years ago, and we had talked about it there too. But I don't know if it's true elsewhere, but oftentimes I think interns from academic situations have to have, it's a weird wrinkle, organizations that have a physical location. So our, virtual one, as we are most of the time, may be a problem with that, but it's a great idea.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's, we can have, we don't have a physical office, but I get, whoever's the president tends to get a lot of the mail for NISA. So if Justin is willing to make his studio.
That room might have changed. So
Yeah.
the virtual spaces are a lot more legitimized now. It might have changed that. Maybe had to explore other reach any educators.
Well, let's investigate this.
Yeah.
I think people need something that we're volunteering, want something in return, even though they're volunteering. I think one idea I just came up with, I don't know if it's a possibility, could they get some kind of credit at a local college? And they could have a specific task to do? I don't see why not. An art student, there's so many schools around. That'd be a great way to get people.
Yeah, and credit, I mean, this came up earlier, maybe an honorary with Madeline said that, but I guess, we can look into it. It's hard because, everybody's short on cash, right? So, but maybe if it's, they could, instead of donating to NISA, like something, where they would donate some time for a person in their studio, we could approach other nonprofits about that. So that could help.
I think instead of the credit for students would be very difficult. From what I know, it would have to be approved. There'd have to be a site supervisor or an internship or something like that. There might be a community college situation, but I don't know of any sculpture programs in community colleges, but there would be something to investigate. But the channels, as far as I know, my experience has been, it would take some doing to make that happen.
Weren't there other things mentioned that would take 2 to 3 years? I think Dominique mentioned a few projects that take 3 to 4, 2 to 3 years. And this could be one of those projects. I mean, a lot of us have affiliations with different universities. And
I was gonna say, I've been a part of a number of nonprofits, arts organizations over the years. One of the best donor pools, like in terms of volunteers, is actually donors themselves. They often are excited to be part of events, especially friends of the organizations, people that are not specifically artists. But I don't think it hurts us to turn and look at our existing pool of resources, who we have supporting us now. If we have friends and individual donors, it doesn't hurt to ask them, you want to join the party? You want to volunteer? You want to support us in other ways? Very often arts, openings for arts organizations, you almost always see donors volunteering their time. So I don't think that's a hard place to start.
So we have more questions, more people from the audience, but.
Hi, I'm Betty Ann Libby from Studios Without Walls. And our application is coming up soon. I just want to say that I had an idea that maybe you could offer a work/fellowship to students, and then they would get a kind of a free membership. And included in that, they would be required to do X amount of hours, whatever you figure out you need them to do. And in order to encourage minorities to join, you've got to go and offer scholarships for these people, because because it is very expensive if people are living as students, whatever, or, you know, can't afford the dues.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, you know, we'll investigate, I think, you know, the community, the schools and colleges, I think it's worth investigating. And yeah, I mean, these things don't happen overnight. I mean, it could be a 3 to 4 year project. Sorry, I think there's somebody else.
Yeah, I want to say something actually. Based on my experience with NISA in the last 2 years, I think one of the challenges, not just for NISA, I think for all nonprofit organizations, true, is how you engage volunteer and also how you organize them. Really, I mean, there's a volunteer you get a lot of volunteer who's going to actually coordinate them, organize them, make them, give them tasks. Really, it's a lot of work. Yeah, volunteer for volunteers. Really, sometimes I have been working with a lot of volunteers. Sometimes you know, as volunteer to coordinate volunteers, it's really kind of problematic sometimes because really they have a limit time or energy. Maybe that's something you want to think about. Is it going to be like some kind of coordinated position or something, volunteer coordinator or something like that, that you have a key contact person that can like organize all volunteers. Another thing I want to say, based again my experience the last 2 years, NISA is a member-driven organization. Really, you have a board, it's amazing. You know, they are doing their best. Now, my experience, they're all doing working hard. But eventually, really, it's kind of members organization. You guys have to all, you know, step up. I'm sure you're all trying. And run the organization because we don't have a staff. The NISA doesn't have a staff. Only one or two staff I can pay, but
which too small.
But on board all volunteer based. So eventually, it's everyone, all of us, like organization, we have to do. You know, each of us we have to do some kind of our part, and I don't know, step up, do something. Otherwise, waiting, was already challenged out, everyone waiting for the board doing their stuff while the board's all volunteer get paid. It's really, they have a limit time. So the question, how we organize all the volunteer energy from the member, from outside, and, you know, use those labor or like energy to, you know, improve like a NISA. But that's something just to maybe think about it, how, you know, maybe that can be another big position. It can be really short, like a 10-hour weekly or 5 hours weekly, but still have a key contact person. People don't get confused. As Linda, you said, you know, you can break down all tasks to smaller version instead of a huge one, and then, you know, people know what how they can help. But right now, we don't have exactly the way people can. Okay, I want to help, but they don't know how.
All right. Well, thanks. I mean, I think thanks, Kamal. I think it's all, you know, being on the inside, you see it also. But I want to move on because I think maybe we'll move on to some of these other questions. So we really only have like 7 or 8 minutes left, and we wanted to wrap up soon. So unless there's another question on this topic on the online, but I wanted to bring up some of the other questions that were given to us to bring up is what do people think about an inclusion of art and activism, at least one per year? We haven't done a show like that, so that's the question. Any thoughts on that?
Do it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there are. I mean, because there are several shows around Boston that the Speak Up show is just, you know, it's usually a good show as well. And okay, all right, good.
Is it sculpture?
It would have to. Yeah, it would have to be the Speak Up show is not. It's mixed media. So that's it was historically a piano craft, but it's along those lines that we would do something at NISA that would be more art and activism oriented. All right, so the next question, so I'll just move through these kind of quickly, hopefully. Artist Network, so what do people think about a place on the website where members can exchange information such as material resources, technical queries, et cetera, even, you know, like Diane said, Linda, smaller tasks. So almost like a blog, and this going forward, because of our website design, is something we can implement. Looks like, you know, we're getting a thumbs up from the audience and online, but you know, we can't, you know, this came up in.
Yeah, you can actually, I mean, if you ever look at the National Sculpture Society website,
yeah,
they have had for years a forum for exactly that, and it's organized by subject, how to. I mean, questions like Megamole, Silicon Road, like, I mean, there's literally just endless topics and sculptures, right? And I think that would be great for us to have, because even then you could get an on the ground help. I mean, if these members are willing to work with each other, help each other, you can actually get that help rather than a national database of help. But
Yeah, just to add to that, I've often thought about, you know, carpooling to a show, or can someone pick up my piece for me at the show? And there's not really a good, unless you already know the person and have their number to text them, there's not really a good mechanism for doing that. So I think it would be super helpful.
yeah, I'm definitely in favor of maximizing communication among us.
And sometimes you're working on a piece and you're approaching a new thought or idea, or you want to execute something and this is something new for you, or you just need some advice. It would be great. Like I had to connect with Pat, so she can put me in touch with another sculptor to help me in creating a resin bird. So it would be great, like if we can do that directly on some kind of a forum, whether something online or. That'd be great. We can exchange ideas, we can ask questions, we can help each other. That'd be fantastic.
Okay, great, yeah, we can, any other?
I'll just add one thing. I think that's a great idea, and it may be multifaceted. There may be a spot for help me pick up work, help me take homework. And like you said, on Sculptors.org, there's that whole resource and stuff like that for all the kind of materials handling and stuff like that. But also maybe there's even a question, I'm working on this, what do you think? Right. And I just did a workshop with NEFA it was last March. It was a artist in public spaces. It was a 5-week kind of workshop course where they walked you through the whole thing and gave them all these resources. And so I would love to share those resources with everybody. So if we had a landing page or something like that, individual members who did different workshops that could give stuff for that as well. So that would be great.
We would love for you to share that.
Yeah, I will. I'll get in contact with you, Justin.
Just to piggyback on that, everything that's being talked about requires people to do something that they're not doing, which is to go to the website regularly and look at what's there and pay attention to that vehicle for communication. And so if you think about the number of websites that are posting things, but they have their members agree, and you can either agree or not agree, but agree to get pinged either on their message system, their texting system, or on their email, that there's something new that just came in on the online thing, so they can just, it has a link, you just click right there, and they go to the message system and see, oh, there's something new. Getting pinged and invited into it on an ongoing basis, as opposed to having to change your way and, looking things up on the website all the time, might get more engagement.
But that will solve the problem, because once you know there is an inviting thing there, you're more likely to go to the website. Now, why would you go to the website? You already have the newsletters that are coming directly to your inbox.
It's true, and it's not one time. That's the key ingredient here. It's like advertising. You have to keep pinging people, like you have to keep seeing that reference and seeing that reference and seeing that reference before they finally start taking action on that reference. And even after they take an action once or twice, it doesn't mean that they're going to change their ongoing behavior. So it's just that repetition and repetition that will bring them in.
All right, good. We can move to the last one, and then we have lunch here for all those who came, and I think it's sitting back there. I see something, but and you people online next year, you have to come, so you get a free lunch. So we entice you that way. So what about how do we increase our connection with towns, right? Are there ways that we can facilitate that? Anyways, that was a question posed to us.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
How do we increase our connection with towns? Yeah, because there's a lot of art councils out there, and we've had some. We have a relationship with Winchester, Burlington, but that's kind of it. And how do we do that? Do we just knock on doors? Do we just keep hammering at it? Is it the membership that helps?
I think that's part of it, Dominic, is they're kind of knocking on doors. But in that workshop that I did, there's some resources for towns to reach out to NEFA. You can actually get your town on a list to be part of public art installations and shows and stuff like that. So I could find that information and relay it. because it was a good resource, and it was the town would have to initiate the sign up for it, but then once you're on the list as a municipality, you were pinged with different things for public art installations and things like that.
All right, yeah, if you could share that with,
Yeah, I mean, again, to reiterate what I was thinking earlier was a lot of the education and outreach components, especially in arts organizations within a city or town, like they require it, they need it, they want to have some value for their money other than just a show, they want to show they're doing some community service. The more we engage in that kind of stuff, the more we become recognized by the town surrounding those organizations and institutions. So it's just something to think about when you're thinking about volunteerism or expanding outreach.
okay.
I just had an interesting experience. I went to our farmer's market, which is every Saturday, and I saw there was a little table for the, it's Andover Cultural Council, which is part of the Mass Cultural Council. So I just went up and said hello, and I started talking to the person there and about possibly, having sculptures in town. And as a outgrowth of that, she went and I told her about Burlington and Winchester, and she called those towns and talked to those folks that whoever set those up. Thank you. I know there's a lot of people involved. She's now talking to those people who set up those events, so it can spread, and who knows?
Yeah, that's great, and thank you for taking the initiative. That's really kind of how we get our name out there, is word of mouth and going to those tables and telling them who we are and the work we've done. And it's, you can see it. You can see it, and the towns are super proud of what we've worked with. They've got websites and open walks, and they're inviting people all the time.
I wonder, David, if there's a way to facilitate connection between those people, that we can somehow broker those connections with other, set up a database for ourselves, so we can, here's a list of names of willing participants that can tell you all about how they did it, what their experience with us was.
Yeah, we did start working on a database with Elisa, and that's Elisa Vanelli, and that's how we're keeping track of everything. So we've got the spreadsheet that, the board, and if you have anyone who wants to see it, but we've got like a list of stuff that's happening, potential, the conversation that's had, and then, if there's stuff that you want us to follow up with, send it through, because then we'll keep track of it and progress. And, so there are ways we've started tracking all that. I got a question from Keith online. Yeah, you're probably unmuting yourself, Keith, but we can't hear you yet. I don't think, can you, Pat, unmute him? Oh, no, he moved. Sorry, Keith, we can't hear you. I don't know. We can't hear you. It's not on our side.
We can type in the chat.
Yeah, what's in the chat?
Let's go to Madeline, then we'll come back to Keith. If you can figure it out, Keith, just voice your, I think Madeline's raising her hand.
Hi there. Having been a beneficial of the Burlington show and loving the stipends involved, I think that we have a footprint, a really solid footprint, and a lot of people who appreciate the quality and the level of effort on all sides to put a proposal together that we can send by email and say, look at what we've done for Burlington, and it brings people to the town. It helps the restaurants, or, people eat lunch and go see sculpture or whatever. Get the benefits and the data on why this is a good idea for everyone from the Chamber of Commerce, and have them put together their funding for the stipends, because Alyssa Adams was really big on, the respect for sculptors, taking the time to rent equipment, to deliver and install. And It's a good footprint that we have going with Winchester and Burlington, but the respect for the artist and the stipend is critical. And the data for any kind of benefits to the host town is also critical, that we ask them to fill us in on if there's any benefit from their perspective, that we add that to whatever we send out, and it can be digital. It doesn't need to be printed or cost us anything, but we just, just get the email list of towns that have art associations or chambers of commerce, and where we find there is a nice park or a nice venue. We don't want a parking lot. We want a garden. We want a park. We want a place that's safe from vandalism, where they're willing to pay some insurance. It's a big project, but we have a footprint, and we want to respect both the town and their benefit, and understand it, but also understand how to benefit our artists.
Yeah, we do have, I think we have done proposals that we've sent to, based on what we've done with Burlington, and maybe, we pick that up again and share it. So if you have any feedback on those, we can make it better. All right, thank you. Thanks, Madeline. I mean, I appreciate everything. So I think we're going to wrap it up. I think that was all, unless there's, we kind of can do an open forum. Anybody who wants to have anything critical to say, we can also talk about that. Or how to better ourselves, let's say it that way. But, we only really have a few minutes left. But so if there's anything that we didn't cover, whether in the annual meeting or in the Q&A, please bring that up, and or in the survey. I think we're good. I think we're going to end the meeting now. Thanks everybody for joining us online and sticking with us. I know it was a long 2-hour presentation, and everyone here for coming, making the trip to Concord. I hope next year we'll see everybody here in Concord again. And again, reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns. Thanks everybody, and I'm going to adjourn the meeting and call it a day. Thank you.
Thanks for your service.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. I'm going to stop the recording now. Thanks, everybody.